Black void, the coldness, all too consuming, coursed not only around me, but within me as well. I was alone, trapped, helpless, stuck in an endless spiral, drifting through space. It is only my thoughts and memories that I cling onto desperately to recall and remember who I am. My name is Sarah Bryson, and I am in need of help. It had been nothing more than a last-minute decision, one which I now was coming to regret. The Terran Space Program had called it a wondrous opportunity for those with the right attitude. Spend anywhere in the region of up to 4 years in isolation on a distant floating ball of rock within the solar system and get paid more than enough to set you up for life. At least, that had been a sales pitch. All 200 of us, crammed into the conference hall at the former American space branch known as NASA, had tried to steal a march and launch colony missions without authorization. This had prompted the government to seize control and rebrand it. Did it work? Well, no. Everyone still in hushed tones refers to it as NASA. We'd been squirreled away, broken down into smaller groups, until there was 10 teams of 4, each given our own sponsor, assigned region and floating rock, tasked to fill a quota and get paid. End of, nothing more. Each of our teams had been broken down into 2 men and 2 women. Each of us had been informed of the cryosleep journey and that the pod would automatically navigate us down to the surface designated area before we woke up, so we didn't need to bother with getting cozy with each other. It was all just names and faces. I'd been assigned the northeastern sector, its most distinguishing market, potted craters and high ridgelines. Man, if my pod didn't crash on landing, I'd call it a miracle. I didn't know much about our sponsor, AMOD, other than that they were a fast up-and-coming player in the synthetic enhancement mod business. I remember being taken into a room and being pumped full of drugs before lying down with my head getting heavy and my vision fuzzy. Next thing I know, a red warning light is flashing in my face. A sea of stars flashes and rushes by me every few seconds. A rocky cratered surface looms out at me instantly, telling me this is my home for the next few years. Somewhere, one of those stars is home, a life I'd left, or more like run from. It had been a messy divorce, and I was going to make the money at the end of it all. This had to be worth it.
Targeted landing zone, 500 units and closing.
Automated voice relayed to me within my confined steel prison box. There was nothing I could do. No controls, no steering equipment, just a seat I was strapped into and the warning lights going off. I was in the hand of an onboard computer, praying and hoping to not smash into one of those ever-growing cliffs. As the cliffs receded, the warning lights changed from red to luminous blue. The system locking onto the outpost, which would be mine for the duration. The pod lurched upwards, firing its retro rockets. A hum of landing gears whirled before nothing. A complete standstill. The stars didn't move, and my body finally could rest.
Employee 161, you have arrived, and it is now safe to exit the craft.
Voice called out again. 161, huh? That's a cheery way of putting things. I answered to no one in particular.
I do not have your name on file. If you wish to update, you may.
Called out, waiting for my response. Sarah Bryson. And what's your name, since we're stuck together?
I am the Computer Artificial Terminal, otherwise known as CAM.
That's how it was for the next year. Mining, digging, collecting materials for the transport back to Earth when the time came. I'd been on my way back in a rover when it had happened. Cam reported an unusual energy spike from the mountain range due west of the area I was currently surveying. Having checked my positioning, I'd worked out that it was in the region of employees 162s, as Cam had called them. Whatever this energy spike was, I didn't have long to wait around to find out, as a blast almost as powerful as an EMP hit the rover, frying all the electrical circuits. I was miles from base and miles from anywhere else. Luckily, my oxygen supply was full and the rover's tanks was looking healthy, even if I had lost my co-pilot. The pulse hit again, this time sending shockwave tremors towards the ground. I had a choice to make: stay in the rover and ride this out, or hope that the wave was over. Option 1, however, was taken away from me, as the shock waves grew in speed and intensity. Whatever was happening in 162's area was having an effect everywhere. Maybe the others were feeling this too. As the rover continued to be buffeted by waves and tremors, the ground in front of me started to open, small at first, but with each blast the fissure grew wider and greater, that it threatened to soon swallow the rover deep into its rocky core. I had to make a choice: stay and most certainly perish, or try and make a break for it. I counted the next few waves. Each seemed to follow a pattern of intervals of 3 blasts, and then cool down as 60 seconds, each repeating the cycle. I prepped myself, my hand turning the wheel of the rover's exit compartment, knowing that time was against me. The 3rd blast hit as I was thrown to the side, the ground rumbling beneath me, hoping to grab and take me into its dark abyss. I flung myself at the handle, turning the last few rotations before tumbling out onto the surface. Falling face first, I quickly stood and my heart sank. I was further from safety than I cared to think, seeing the cliffs a fair distance off towards the horizon line. I couldn't stay with the rover either. One more blast and it was gone, so I ran as far and as fast as the spacesuit would allow. The seconds ticked down. I had less than 20 seconds to find some sort of cover, or pray the radius of the blast wouldn't reach me. Both I knew were foolish thinking. I felt the ground starting to tremble. I knew the blast wave would be on me in a heartbeat. The cliffs weren't getting any closer, yet a crater not too far from me was. It was a foolish idea, but one that might just work. I quickly changed direction, heading away from the cliffs to the crater. If I could just get to the crater before the blast, I might be able to use it as a wave with my booster pack. The ground shook faster and more violently. I knew the blast was right behind me, yet mere feet in front was a crater. So I jumped, activating my booster as a wave hit, sending me spinning and tumbling in an upwards trajectory. As each consecutive wave hit, propelling me faster and further upwards. I cleared the cliffs within the first blast. The second and third damaged my booster pack that I couldn't turn it off, as I accelerated higher, further, and faster spacewards. With each rotation, I saw the blue blast. As I got further up, I could see the crater, the onyx-like obelisk, firing the blue wave. There was nothing I could do now except allow the cold void of space to take me, knowing I was never going home.